Okay, it is alive.
Okay. Hey, everybody on TikTok. If you guys could give me a thumbs up, let me know that you can hear me and see me all right. That would be really helpful before we go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody on YouTube. If you could please give me a thumbs up, let me know that you can hear me and see me all right before we go ahead and get started. Okay, do also want to invite anyone from TikTok who may be having connection issues because TikTok will TikTok. Feel free to switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy. It will help you to stay more connected. You can interact more easily with the comment section. Okay, so we hope to see you over there. Feel free to switch now. All right, looks good. So we have Autumn, Marianne, Ashley, Angelica, Julie, David, bunch of people tuning in here. And I see like 4 different thumbs up. Thank you, everybody on YouTube. And how are we on TikTok?
Good.
Okay, thanks so much, guys. So I'm going to give this a second for a few people to tune in. And in the meantime, I want to talk about registration. Okay, so if you were interested in taking my psychic mediumship course, we start September 6th. That's if you wanted to be live and interactive with everybody else, your fellow students, you know, to be part of the chat and to have myself and the assistant teachers work with you in a one-on-one so that you can get certified and actually learn how to give professional readings to the public. Now, if you're not interested in all of that, you were just looking for the basic info, you could do that anytime. All right, so the classes for the psychic mediumship course for tier 1, okay, the lower tier, are downloadable at any time. So you want to go to psychicmediumshipcourse.com to reserve your seat. I do believe there are only 3 seats left. Is that accurate? Mm-hmm. So we are just about full, okay? So get over there quickly. Assistant teacher training. If you wanted to be an assistant teacher at the Ivy League Psychic Academy, you will go to the same spot, psychicmediumshipcourse.com, and you'll start that training on September 6th as well. So check it out. We hope to have you for both. I also want to invite you guys to check out our live interactive exclusively here on YouTube at Ask Ivy this Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be doing a live interactive sermon from our Roots Revival Interfaith Church. The Power of Detachment is the sermon with myself, Christina Del Rey, our astrologer, Reverend Danny Johnson, our numerologist. Will be talking about how to detach, why you need to detach, and how you can get your power back from learning how, when to properly, pull your energy and attention away from people and situations. So join us for that. We'll also be doing a Q&A with that live interactive. Okay. So again, and Paul, if you could put these things in the comments, that would help a lot. Okay. So the Power of Detachment this Thursday at 8:30. Next week's mini class, in case I forget to say it at the end, like I often do, is also Tuesday. Notice we have new hours. We're moving into fall hours. I'm kind of sad, kind of not, whatever. I love fall. But, it's already cooling down here today, so we're at 8:30 now. Eventually, we'll be moving that up probably more to like 8 o'clock. So next Tuesday, back here again at 8:30. The free mini class is Our Life Agenda versus the Afterlife. We're going to be talking about the truth of our ancestors and their beliefs. So there are a lot of myths floating around out there. We like to concoct different stories and we like to mold our ancestors, our loved ones, our spirit guides into our belief systems because it suits us well, and that just isn't how it works. Nobody's bending to us, that's for sure. So it's good to know the truth. So tune in for that. Okay, looks like we have a few people here on TikTok, and like we're still doing good. Looks like we have a few people here also on YouTube. Everyone on YouTube, I'm going to ask you right now, give this video a thumbs up. And please do subscribe. If you want to become a member for behind the scenes extras, weekly spirit messages, tip of the week, you get your monthly horoscopes, direct spirit messages to you. You can hit the join button and you can look at the 3 different tiers of membership. All right, are you ready, Paul? How are things going?
I am, yes.
All right, very good. So welcome, everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Arawak, and I own a school called the Ivy League Psychic Academy, where I train people internationally, online, and everything, ranging from psychic mediumship development to numerology, tarot, astrology, paranormal, empathic work, meditation, you name it, we do it. We train children as well as adults, so we hope to see you there for classes. When the pandemic hit, I started putting out 1 to 2 free mini classes per week just to keep everybody going, and we've been calling this the quarantine series. At this point, we have quite an accumulation of free mini classes. That's what we're doing here today. Go to YouTube at Ask Ivy and hit the playlist button to see all of the classes. So this week's class is on walk-ins. We are going to be examining the myths and the truths behind walk-ins, also known as soul switching. Some people call it possession, that can happen during surgery, a near-death experience, or some point of trauma in your life. Okay, so this is definitely an interesting topic. I encourage at all my classes for you guys to interact in the comment section, questions, comments, and we try to take all of them. If they don't fit with the curriculum, we'll take them at the end. So go ahead and start posting. Also, I'd like to hear about your personal experiences, okay? So if you have something you want to share, you think you are a walk-in, you know someone who has had a walk-in, you're wondering about it, post. All right. So, walk-ins, the idea that someone can become someone else. These are called walk-ins, possessions. Some people think it's connected to twin flames, soul braiding. There's a lot of starseed theories, soul switching. What is really behind all of this? A lot of ideas in regards to walk-ins are based on the understanding that humans having a human experience as ourselves, that we're just basically not enough, that there's a need for something more, right? So I see a combination of that in working theory. And then also really that, we have to at some point accept that we can no longer evolve without some type of interception, which kind of breaks down again to that same idea, that we're not enough. And I think that that is really connected to the second point here, which is that we just don't understand the lost language. And this is why I push so hard all the time, trying to help people to understand the lost language of psychic ability, mediumistic ability, and empathic ability. If we don't grasp that lost language and we think that somehow we're not enough, we're going to end up falling into belief systems with things like walk-ins. Very easy to do. And what we need to, do is get educated on the system of help that did come to Earth with us. And we're going to talk about a bit of that today, okay, and how you can access that. It isn't something that's off limits to you. You don't have to be a special kind of person to have access to that wisdom in the universe or that type of help. All right, so let's talk about this. Most commonly, again, called walk-ins. They are also called possessions. And when I think about possession, meaning a spirit of some sort coming in and taking over your body, in the same way that I think of attachments, and I talk about that a lot here on this channel, meaning that some type of spirit will attach its energy to your energy field. when I look at those two, I think there is a lot of validity in that. We know from working in the paranormal field, we know from seeing as a child before we were brainwashed into believing that nothing was real, the monsters that we saw, the ghosts that we saw, the negativity that we saw, we knew at one point that there was light and there was dark and that these energies were active. And we have also been told by the church, by the mental health field, that we are never to talk about these darker energies, and that being invested in any kind of spirituality is going to feed, right, any dark energies. And so it's like considered evil, just to even grow spiritually, which is why we're so limited into believing things like this. But they are real. And I do believe, have witnessed, have assisted with countless possessions and detachments and things like this. So that's, a legitimate category here. The idea that soul braiding can occur, okay, another common name for walk-ins, or a theory behind different kinds of walk-ins. Soul braiding, the idea that someone else could be invited into your body, or that you would be sharing with someone else. A lot of the theories behind this are based on thinking that at some point you need help. You need a helping hand. A lot of people will say, oh, well, people choose soul braiding and invite someone from another dimension to come live in their bodies because they're about to go through awakening. Okay, so if you're going to go through an awakening, I mean, you need help. If you're going to go through a real trial in life or some big level up, you need help. People, it's not that bad. Okay, life is not that big of a deal. An awakening is not anything you need additional assistance for. You've got angels appointed to you, 2 of them. You've got 5 guides appointed to you. You got your ancestors backing you. You have your deceased loved ones. Okay, we have each other. It's not that big of a deal. So I'm not into the whole soul braiding idea. I'm going to break down the myths first, obviously, and then get into the truths. And I really do try to stay open-minded. I listen to as many new videos on this as I could possibly stand, but I really could not get into this. I studied this years ago. I interviewed several people, and I actually followed them for years, back at a time when I was somewhat interested in this topic and thought maybe there is something to this. I'm no longer there, and listening to some new theories did not help me to return, to any kind of real belief system in this. So I think another one that really turned me off was twin flames. Okay, for those of you that follow me here, I can't even stand the word. Ridiculous. The idea that you aren't whole as yourself, that you are part of someone else, and that your other half, right, is going to find you and fulfill you, and you will become one, and all of this nonsense. Okay, just no proof of it whatsoever. And I don't teach on anything I don't have proof of. So twin flames, Paul, you could put in the comment section here the class we recently did on myths behind twin flames and truths behind soulmates. It's the idea that basically your walk-in could be your twin flame, or you are bringing, your twin flame here to the earth plane. And then another common, theory behind walk-ins is star seeds. I call it star seed syndrome because I believe, just like rainbow children or indigo children, or, the sort of empath revolution. Everybody wants to be an empath these days. I believe that it's the same old thing spit out over and over and over again. And that is that every new generation wants to have a special group of people, and they can make a lot of money off that special group of people if they can convince other people that they are one of these special people. And so star seeds are sort of the new thing. That is not necessarily a brand new concept, but it is a belief that with walk-ins, in this case tonight, that it's because you have to have sharing with someone very important, maybe from another dimension, who is capable of coming to Earth and saving mankind or rescuing the universe during these end times. And it, again, is just another attempt to make us not enough. Just in the way that we are. So when, people say, oh, well, it's really star seeds. That's what a walk-in is. It's this, this powerful creature coming in because you have this important work to do, or they have this important work to do. And, they're going to take over and save the world and bring all this healing and this enlightenment. And that walk-ins from the past, these gurus, these, spiritual teachers, that those were all walk-ins as well. I think this is what's really silly about this, right? Gurus, spiritual leaders, spiritual teachers, they're not magicians. They're not aliens from another planet. They're just more evolved. And we all have the opportunity to become more evolved. I would go so far as to say we all have a responsibility to come to Earth and become more evolved. That's why we're here. We're here to learn and grow and level up so that we're not always reincarnating and doing the same thing over and over and over again. So to say that spiritual leaders from the past were these, sort of godlike creatures instead of humans who had done the work in their previous lives and came here as more evolved people who were open to channeling the power of the universe, that God energy, that healing energy, is just, cheapening the whole thing. They are wise, they were open, they were receptive, and we all can tap in at any point to the information that they were tapping into, and we all hear the same thing. We're all capable of the same thing. Okay, it's sort of this whole starseed concept here with this also reminds me a lot of the Earth Angel thing that was big in the 90s. So in the 90s, I was annoyed by another group of people who would say, and I still get some hangers on now and then, but they'll be like, am I an Earth Angel? I just don't fit. And I'm just so pure and I'm just so good. I'm like, you're not. Okay. Trust me, you're not. And people will treat mediums that way. Like, you're too good for this world. We're not doing anything that we can't all do. We have chosen, and we are deliberately, diligently using self-discipline to stay connected to the right side of our brains, to the intuitive side of our brains, to be mindful, to own our energy at all times, and to choose a higher vibration instead of a lower vibration. It doesn't make you an angel. Those are completely separate entities of healing in the universe, okay? So, and let's be honest about all of this. What are we talking about? We're talking about a hierarchy. Okay. We're talking about a power grab again. All right. And all roads seem to lead back to this. So if you have to be an incarnate angel, if you have to be this higher up, walk-in, starseed, spiritual guru, it's because you want to be way up here and you actually feel like you're way down here. And that's why we see also with a lot of these things we just talked about, I don't care what category you look at, we see a lot of mental illness and we see a lot of drug and alcohol abuse. Okay, that's a sign of someone who hasn't even learned to be rooted and grounded here on planet Earth yet. And I'm not talking about actual mental illnesses, okay? I'm talking about people who have allowed their minds to deteriorate because they're not in a healthy way. So that's very different than something like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder or actual, mental illnesses. So when we see that people don't want to own their energy, they don't want to, hold themselves accountable, they don't want to take responsibility for that, we see a lot of this topic here. And it's much easier to blame it on the other soul that has taken over your body than to take, accountability for the choices that you're making and things like this. So we need to be very careful. I also think it's unfortunate to see so many supposed light workers out there pushing this agenda all the time and saying things like, this is the root cause of your schizophrenia, or this is the root cause of your bipolar disorder. You're sharing with all these other souls and there's no legitimacy to any of this. Now we're going to talk about what the truth is behind these things and what you can do. I'll have Paul post other classes since we can't get to all of it today, but what you could do about it, if you are dealing with something like this. So I will say this, when I used to interview people about walk-ins, and I talked a little earlier about the people I followed for years, some of them I'm still keeping an eye on, just to see what ends up happening with their personality and their life choices in time, spiritually as well. I'm just curious to see where they end up taking all of this. They all have a very similar theme. And that is that they went in for a surgery, they had a near-death experience, or they experienced some type of trauma in their life. And after that, they no longer felt that they were themselves. They felt that they didn't understand their goals anymore. They didn't understand their preferences. What was fun had changed. Any of their interests or hobbies had changed or were gone. Their relationships, even with their closest love partners or their parents, their family, their friends, seemed to dull down, or they didn't feel as affectionate toward these people anymore. Almost like a take it or leave it kind of attitude. They just seemed really detached from everything that they had been. And I think that, that leads a lot of people down the road to examine more, to be willing to switch it up, to be willing to start on a brand new journey and a brand new path, and with a greater sense of independence and connectivity to the universe around them. So I didn't really witness any of these as being bad situations when it happened in that way. Okay. So let's take a look at what I believe these supposed walk-ins actually are. So 3 different categories we have time to break down today. Okay. Number 1, you had an awakening. You had an awakening. That's it. It's not, again, that big of a deal. You will have multiple awakenings if you're living right. Sometimes even if you aren't, but you go through trauma, you will have them over the course of your life. It's a natural part of growing up. It's a natural part of the human experience, which is also a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings, and they can happen and be triggered for many reasons. We see that one of the most common reasons for an awakening is pregnancy, birth of a child, surgery, near-death experience, some kind of trauma. Paul, if you could actually put in the comment section the free mini class that we did on why we have increases in our intuition. Okay, that'll help everybody to understand that part of it. So when you have an awakening, okay, you also go through something called Kundalini. And with a Kundalini, you will let go. It's a detoxing. So basically anything that was holding you back, anything that needs to be released, anything that will not allow for more of the healing energy from the universe to come into you to help you evolve. Anything that's in the way has got to go. So people have like explosive diarrhea. It can go on for weeks or months. They have nasal drainage. They think flu-like symptoms. They think everybody else is sick, but they're the only ones that are sick. And then it'll just go away and they're fine. And they don't understand why it's coming and going. Again, because it's a process, it's a detoxing process. So this could go on for weeks. It could go on for months. You will also have emotional releases, mental releases, basically anything that needs to leave you. Paul put in the comments the other videos I did on downloads and Kundalini. Okay. For those of you on TikTok, I also have videos on this. Download versus Kundalini is another video I did on TikTok. What we see with the Kundalini is this expulsion of mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, not only from this life, but also from previous lives. And this expulsion of toxic energy blocks is going to make you feel as though you are extraordinarily receptive to the energy around you. Channeling, your crown chakra is open, channeling healing energy from the universe. Your third eye opens, so you're more psychic, you're more empathic, you're more mediumistic. So with an awakening, we increase psychic, mediumistic, and empathic. Okay, in all those areas, that's all part of intuitive intelligence. We don't have one without the other, and everybody has this. Every human being has these abilities to some extent. So when you are more open, you are also more susceptible, to negative energies in the universe that may want to come and mess with you. And so you do have to be careful. You need to avoid drug and alcohol. You need to clean up from any bad habits that you have that could lead to attachments and possessions, which we're going to talk about in category number 2. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But with Kundalini, with an awakening, you also start to receive something called downloads. So downloads are information that gets put directly into you, usually through the crown chakra. Could be when you're meditating, but it's usually at night. So you may notice that you wake up and like your ears are ringing, there's a tinnitus, or they're plugged. A lot of people go deaf and they have vision problems, translucent lines or blurred vision, sometimes even for up to 3 days. But the information that was put into you is data, it's directions, it's the stuff you need to know as you level up and you evolve. So not necessarily as soon as it happens, but soon after, within a couple months after. Now that can also look like a manic episode. You have energy shooting from your crown to your feet, back up and down and up and down again. It leads to itchiness of the skin, frequent urination, Restless Leg Syndrome, all kinds of things. It does not mean that you're having a manic episode. It could be the download itself, but it certainly is not another soul that has entered into your body causing all of that to happen. It's a natural part of your spiritual awakening and evolution. So we don't want to dismiss awakenings, Kundalini, downloads, and just sort of outsource it, to some kind of possession or walk-in. They're very important. And all I want to say about them is, yes, they are very real. Okay, they're not that big of a deal, and they, thank God, don't last forever because they can be uncomfortable. And you are enough. You are enough to handle your Kundalini, your awakening, and your downloads. Otherwise, it wouldn't have come to you, and you wouldn't have signed on to it before you came to Earth, in your life contract. You're enough. You've got this. I want to talk about category number 2, and this one is very serious. Attachments and possessions. Paul, please put in the comments 10 signs your house is haunted. And I think I called it attachments and possessions. I think I was super creative on that one. Okay, so a couple free mini classes here. The real training is a 2-hour training called Hauntings, Clearings, and Detachments, and that's up on my website. Okay, if you need that. Book a paranormal consultation with me if you think you have these problems. This is serious. We do not want to let this type of thing go. Now, it is usually through trauma, definitely any kind of sexual abuse, sexual assault, molestation, physical abuse, but it could also be mental and emotional abuse or neglect, where people find that a paranormal attachment, a lower, darker, negative energy in the universe, is latching onto them, or they have become actually possessed, which means this thing has gotten inside and is now dictating their body and what they do every day. It is extremely destructive and can lead to suicide or death. Often the choice that feeds the possession or the attachment is drug and alcohol abuse. So even if someone was sober for a really long time, we can see that they fall off the wagon. Even if someone never had drug and alcohol abuse issues ever in their life, they could start to lean that way. And it is the easiest gateway for an attachment or a possession to get in and take hold. Now, when people talk about walk-ins, traditionally, they talk about them in sort of either a benign type of a way, or they talk about them as though they are these higher up, creatures. And we don't hear a ton of talk about walk-ins being negative. But in this case, this is the only time I would say that a walk-in can be real. It is essentially a spirit of negativity coming in to do harm, yes, to you, but ultimately to others, to be destructive around you and to use you to get that done. We can avoid a lot of this by being smart, by not listening to the church and your religion, your parents and people who have told you that you should not be evolving spiritually, that it's all dark. They don't have any discernment whatsoever. You should be educated on spirits in the light and spirits in the dark, on high vibrational energy and low vibrational energy, on positive things in the universe and on negative things in the universe. You should be working enough with both energies to know the difference and to know what to feed and how to properly protect yourself. Don't make friends with dark energy. Stop toying with it. Stop playing with things and people, others, situations that could lead you down a really dark road. And for all of you that are tuning in, who are new on your enlightenment, your spiritual journey, and you want to be out there as a light worker, be very careful. Do not become an overnight shaman who is, taking drugs and going through rituals and expanding beyond what you should be before you have learned discernment properly, because you will bring that back with you and you will not only harm yourself, you'll take a lot of other people down. So, we need to stay in our lanes. And we need to learn about everything at the right time, within divine timing and with accuracy. A lot of people, will say that these types of walk-ins happen because there was a car accident and the person passed too quickly, or they had a drug overdose, or they committed suicide and they became like an earthbound, essentially. And so they jumped into someone else, whoever was of the same frequency as them. They just, instead of crossing over into the light, they just decided to jump into someone else's body. That is not happening, I assure you, okay? That is not happening. A car accident is not going to cause for someone to become earthbound. We would all be in really sad states if it was that easy to get trapped on planet Earth as a low-level energy. Nor does a drug addiction necessarily, or an overdose, or a suicide. These are all myths. And put a free mini class that I did here on suicides and the myth behind that in here as well, I believe. But there is an opportunity for every single one of us, again, because we are enough, because we are worthy, even if we died quickly, even if it was unexpected, or we were a drug user, heaven forbid, or it was a suicide. We all have an opportunity when we cross to be invited into the light. Okay. A lot of people think of this as heaven, to have our loved ones, our ancestors, our guides, our angels there waiting for us at the time of death to encourage us to transfer over to where they are. No one is abandoned and no one gets stuck in a situation like that. So that's just another ridiculous, unfortunate way to look at death, holding us all back from evolution of what we actually are. So let's talk about category number 3. And that is that you could be feeling as though you have some type of a walk-in based on new memories that you're having, based on your Akashic records that you're tapping into, based on some really wild and vivid dreams. You can absolutely start to have different memories. And that can happen not because another soul just entered into you and now you are watching their memories, but because you were that other soul. That's you. all of your past lives accumulate to become your higher mind. And your higher mind is a lot bigger than what you think. Okay, it can tap into all the healing knowledge of the universe, answers, and wisdom. It's that place of inner peace, God energy, and it holds all of your history. So a lot of people are old souls. A lot of people have been to Earth again and again and again. And we don't lose that information. What we do before we come to Earth this time is we fill out a life contract. And we will, that's another class you could put in the comment section here where I talked about life contracts and how we choose if there is unfinished business from previous lives that we want to get done in this life, we can choose to incorporate that. So you're filling it out, you're deciding everything you need to learn, every job you need to get done, all the relationships that you're going to get involved in. You set up deadlines for each one of these. You organize it and you agree to come to Earth. But sometimes there's spillover work in your to-do box, either because you died early in a previous life. Maybe society was set up against you, so you could not accomplish some of the things that you really needed to, or you were fear-based. There could be many, many different reasons. Okay. If you were always afraid of everything, if you came from a place of ego, you're probably going to pass away and you didn't get a whole heck of a lot done. So you can agree to finish that work, but also to tap in. So you also have previous lives where you were very powerful or you had a certain skill set that could be useful to you in this life. You may choose to tap in and share space for a period of time in this life, almost like a walk-in with who you were previously. And so you can access that power and that knowledge and that skill. So it's a combination of different things, and it's useful for you to, again, check some work off your to-do list. It doesn't make you a god of some kind. It doesn't make you some special enlightened creature from another planet or anything like this. It was just another human experience that you had, where you may have been fairly evolved or you didn't get done what you needed to. Okay, so you're using that. Now, when you start doing this at whatever age you start tapping into that past life, sharing, okay, your life with who you were in that past life, you would see personality changes. You would find that the type of person that you were sexually attracted to, physically attracted to, might change in a significant way. You may find that your hobbies, your interests, what you think is fun, may change, and you may feel that it's time to also change your career in a major way, or that your connection to family and friends and things like this, which is a little unfortunate sometimes, it just isn't as important as it used to be. Okay, so I could see how these things could also get confused, but we also see that like people will say, oh, well, you have a walk-in because you started tapping into Akashic information, and all of a sudden, you have these new memories. It's this other spirit that came in. That's all their stuff. That's not their stuff. That's your stuff. It's still you and your Akashic record guide who was assigned to you before you came to Earth, right? Part of your 5 guides. Paul put meet your guides here in the comments. Your 5 guides that were assigned to you before you came to Earth. One of them is an Akashic record guide. And so they're constantly working with your past lives. These aren't walk-ins. It's you. Okay. So again, back to what I originally said at the opening of this class. If we knew the lost language, if we knew the kind of support system that we had with us, and if we actually believed that we were ever enough, okay, that we are these spiritual creatures who are on this evolutionary journey, if we ever believed all of that, we would have no need for nonsense and fillers and possessions, and all of this escapism. You can better understand all of this by taking the time, especially during any spiritual awakening that you have had, any Kundalini downloads, watch for things like that, to take the time to get to know yourself, the new you, and to appreciate the changes that are going on, and to stop treating them like they're weird or hokey. or paranormal or from another planet, and to instead work with that new energy so that you can become more rooted and grounded and productive here on Earth, because you're not done yet. Okay. And we have a lot of work to do, not only for ourselves, but also ultimately to be able to give it out to others and heal others, help them along that journey. Okay. Do we have any questions or comments coming in here?
Oh, yeah.
We have anyone angry at all this? She said twin flames aren't real. She said walk-ins aren't real.
No, you're with your
tomatoes. There are tomatoes being thrown at me. Yeah, I'm with my people here again.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah, let's start with some comments here. This one is from Jill.
Mm-hmm.
Popped it up on your screen.
I did forget my glasses. I'll do the best I can. So Jill says, growing up in a religious family, my father believed and taught me that astral travel opened you up to walk-ins. I think it was a fear tactic. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. That's a fear tactic. Could we at any point tap into dark energies in the universe and end up with an attachment or a possession? Absolutely. So could astral travel maybe do that? You could end up encountering some things that would be best for you not to. So could going to a haunted house, people. So could going on that paranormal tour that you love and paying out, right? The guys in the black t-shirts, $75 to go in there and go home with an attachment that kills your dog and haunts your children and causes a divorce. These things can happen on any plane. And so with astral travel, we're really talking about a natural ability. It's an innate ability for us to leave our bodies and to travel to other dimensions. Some people can do it during meditation, or they can do it purposefully. Most people do it accidentally and at night. A sign that you're astral traveling is also sleep paralysis and sleep apnea. And just the fact that it happens naturally has proven to me that you're not going to end up with some horrifying possession. Okay. Possessions take a long time to develop, by the way. It's not instantaneous like that. Or that you're going to have a walk-in. And it is a fear tactic for sure, because what people in the religious community, the cult, want to do is to use fear, right? That's what cults are. Stay right here. Do not think for yourself. Do not explore. And most certainly do not try to tap in to any of your energetic or spiritual potential. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's a weird thing to come up, though, even like in, most religious circles, that they would know what walk-ins are or what astral travel is. I mean, he definitely seems, that's your dad. So, God bless him. But definitely seems like he did some digging and was searching himself. Hopefully he found his way. We have another one?
Yeah, there's a question here, just so you know, that it was qualified after with for a short period.
For a short period?
Yes.
Oh, added onto this?
Mm-hmm.
For a short period. Okay. After an awakening, this is from Liz. After an awakening, can you become less intuitive for a short period? Well, I think so, because it's not really that you're becoming less intuitive as much as it is that your abilities are changing. So a lot of my students talk about this when they start the PEC method, the psychology of energy communication method, that I train them in. They will say, why am I not dreaming as vivid as I used to? Why is my clairaudience not as loud as it used to be? Why is my clairvoyance off? What about this? What about this? What about this? And it's basically like this. As you're evolving, sometimes we need to make room for the new. And it's not that the old went anywhere. It's just that more energy is being put on the new. So you could very well read it as though your intuition is off, as though it isn't there. You're not as connected. You could also be stressed. So Liz's question here was about an awakening, and awakenings do cause for a lot of stress reaction. A lot of people, run to a mental health practitioner who immediately diagnoses them with psychosis or bipolar disorder or, something else, and puts them on meds. And, there are a lot of stigmas around it. So it is naturally stressful because we've been taught that it's something bad, that it's a sign of mental illness or bigger problems. And when you get stressed, you turn off from the right intuitive side of your brain. You start blocking and locking out intuition and spirit, so you could feel as though you lost a lot of your connection. So you just need to stay calm.
Okay. And this one is from Shauna.
From Shauna, I have felt as though a being was trying to perhaps come into my body. I was starting to fall asleep or waking up to it. Felt held down, loss of sight, hearing breath, praying through it all. So I want you to look up something called Old Hag Syndrome. And I believe I talk about it in the free mini classes I mentioned earlier, especially 10 signs your house is haunted. Okay. But Old Hag Syndrome causes all of those things. And we have drawings, pictures dating back, like 1400s, 15 people. Everyone sees her as the same. She looks like a witch. She can take on different forms. You may not see her at all, but she sits on your chest, so you'll feel pinned down. A lot of people hear her breathing. She's sucking out your energy. She's not a huge problem to have. You can get rid of it. Check out my Hauntings, Clearings, and Detachments class to learn how. But she will basically scurry on over to someone else in the house or the neighbor. Again, just because she's not hard to cleanse out or get rid of doesn't mean she isn't destructive. She is stealing your energy every night if she can get the opportunity to do so. And you will feel as though she's trying to possess you, even though that's not her intention. It's intention. It will never become a possession. Okay. Now, in the event that you are about to do some astral travel, or you are falling asleep and the veil between the worlds is very thin, you could have that feeling of falling or having some entity trying to come into your body or possess you. A lot of people feel like they're getting sucked into a tunnel. So these are some other common things to see with that. Okay. But always, I don't want to dismiss. This is for anyone, anyone tuning in. I don't ever dismiss that if you do feel some kind of a spirit or an entity is sitting on you, trying to get in, holding you down through the chest, the ears, the mouth, you've potentially got a big problem on your hand. Book a paranormal consultation. You're going to have to clear that out. That's not the type of thing that we tolerate, whether it be old hag, it be a potential possession or an attachment. You don't need to tolerate any spirit in the universe that has a boundary issue with you. No, not appropriate.
Okay. Nice comment here from Gabrielle.
Okay, from Gabrielle. Okay, and before I take this one, I did want to invite you guys. Donations are appreciated. And everyone, please do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Okay, so Gabrielle says, thank God I was drawn to watch this live. Thanks for helping us properly protect ourselves and face our egos head on. You've helped more than you know. Thank you, Gabrielle. Yeah, that's so important. And I know I only mentioned that word like ego maybe once earlier in this class, but I love that you bring that up. It is about ego. It's about fear. It's about control. It's about feeling bigger or needing to be bigger than what you actually are. It's also about feeling inferior to what you are. And we just need to stay grounded. Grounding is our best protection. Being realistic and healthy can sometimes be our best protection. We have any other questions or comments? Okay, you guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope that this was helpful. Class next week is Tuesday. Back here again for new fall hours at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We are talking about our life agenda versus the afterlife and how our ancestors and their beliefs are the truth that we should be investing in. So we're going to dive into that one. If you want to register for the Psychic Mediumship course, or if you would like to become an assistant teacher with Ivy League Psychic Academy, go to psychicmediumshipcourse.com. We only have a couple seats left. Hope to see you guys there. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Spirit. Have a great night, everyone.